Hello, everyone. It's a great honor for me to be here with you and to share experiences of Europe and Lithuania. So just as the previous speaker said, I'm very eager to show you what we are doing, so you're not going to miss any opportunities. When we look at the current world, we all know the two main trends that are trending globally. So it's digital transformation and it is green transition, because we do have to fight climate change. It is our existential threat, and we race not against each other, but against the common threat. So in Europe, we have this goal to become the first climate neutral economy in the world, so to have zero net emissions by 2050. It is a very ambitious goal and also a very costly goal. So part of this European Green Deal, we also have green finance agenda. And what it is composed of, it's firstly the taxonomy, because in order to invest into green projects, into green companies, into greening of the economy, we first have to have a common agreement on what is green and what projects are actually helping the environment instead of harming it. Of course, in order to be able to do that, we have to have disclosure, we have to have data, because only then we can make informed decisions and see if they actually have an impact. Of course, it also helps to prevent greenwashing that can negatively affect the trust and willingness to invest. And just as I mentioned before, since the climate change is affecting all of us, it's not confined with borders. International cooperation is paramount, so we can all share the best practices, learn from each other, and achieve our goal faster. In Lithuania, we also have a green finance action plan, because we also raise ambitious goals for our economy. So in Lithuania, we are intending to produce 100%, so to have all of our energy produced from renewable sources, meaning solar and wind, by 2030. So it means that in 6 years, we will only have green energy, and we are on the stable path to achieve it. Going further, by 2050, all the energy that we consume, be it for heating, for transport, for whatever else, has to come from green sources as well. So also we then have to invest very significant resources, and even though we also put public resources into that, they are not going to be enough to achieve those goals. That's why we also have our Green Finance Action Plan. And the main elements of the plan is to have a Green Finance Institute that will have the competences and act as a catalyst between private sector and public sector. It will also encourage then public sector green investments, private sector green investments, and also in order for the society to know where to invest and why is it important to invest in green, we also have to have a financial literacy plan to encourage our investors to choose products wisely. So the catalyst for all this to happen is our Green Finance Institute. It's like a think tank that's going to do the research, that is going to advise the private sector, that is going to advise public sector about how to have more connections and more funds flooding into green projects. And also it would promote Lithuania as a green jurisdiction. And we already have a good track record. Globally, Lithuania is one in the top 10 countries that have issued green bonds. So we already issued them several years ago. And these bonds were intended to renovation projects of residential houses. So how does sustainability and fintech come together? So as I already mentioned numerous times, green transition requires a lot of funding. If you look at how the greenhouse gas emissions look in the EU, you would see that the sectors that are emitting the most are like manufacturing, energy, agriculture, transport. So even though it's nice to kind of invest into new companies that offer brand new services or products that are totally green, we all will have to eat something, to live somewhere, and to move somehow. And that requires a change, a massive change from the habits and life we have now to how it's going to be in the future if we want to really fight the climate change. Of course, this transition, it's not easy and not straightforward. It requires innovation. And innovation by itself is risky because it can succeed, but it can also fail. But the investments put in there, they already spent. So European Union and individual countries are putting around 1 trillion euros in the coming 6 years for this purpose. But of course, these amounts are not enough, and the private sector should contribute. So fintech has a very important role to play here, because by having green data accessible, they can use the data to make informed decisions, recommendations, and manage risks effectively. So, for example, artificial intelligence can be used to crunch the data in order to see which projects are really green and which are not, because even now we see cases arising that things that were considered to be helping the environment, then the scientists looked into them, turned out to be contrary. So in order to avoid that, we can use the data and the technology and have these decisions made faster. Big data can be used to manage risks more effectively because, of course, if we want to attract funds from private sector, from institutional investors, from consumers, we have to manage the risk properly. And, of course, blockchain technologies can add more security and clarity for consumers. So how does then fintech goes into all of that? So European also has this European digital strategy. And the cornerstone of it is single rules across the European Union. What it means is that if you in Lithuania, if you want to do services in the European Union, it's enough to, for example, get the license in Lithuania, and you can access all the single market. So that's the cornerstone. So when we talk about our agenda, we show you the opportunities that all the single market has, all the EU countries together has as a market. So we invite you to invest in Lithuania and through that to be able to access all the single market. Of course, in order to be competitive, we have to have a regulation that is future-proof, that encourages innovation, that doesn't hinder innovation, that allows new business models to arise. For that, we also need financial data and being able to share the data across the institutions. And of course, all this digital transformation, it requires risk management. And the risks I'm talking about, it's not just money laundering risks, but also operational resilience, cybersecurity. The more we move into the digital economy, the more importance this is getting. So what are the regulatory initiatives that the EU is having? So when we talk about this innovation-friendly regulation. The recent example can be MiCA regulation that regulates markets in crypto assets, and EU is the first jurisdiction to have a comprehensive regime that ensures safety, that ensures consumer protection, and that ensures the common standards for this market. When we talk about the digital payments, so for now in European Union, only 11% of payments are instant. And I think this is a very unimpressive number, and we can do way better than that. So therefore, we will have payments regulation that would enable not only traditional financial institutions, but also non-bank financial institutions to directly access European payment systems, so we can then offer better services to consumers. Also, digital euro package is under discussion because consumers should have access to the central bank money even in the cashless society. So, of course, I already mentioned risk management. It is paramount. It comes without saying. We won't have any progress or trust in the financial market if we don't manage risks properly. So here, when we move to the digital, more and more to the digital economy, we have to have rules that ensure resilience of financial institutions, common standards for that resilience, and we ensure that we also are able to cooperate, because such risks as AML, they don't have borders. Such risks as cybersecurity, they don't have borders, so we have to be able to share information, cooperate in order to be able to address them effectively. And of course, for the data, in the current times, data is said to be a new gold. So consumers should own their data and be able to allow institutions to access it. And that's very important, and it enables new market entrance. If the consumer allows new companies to access their data and use that for the purposes that consumers request, then they can be more free in their choice and have better, faster, and cheaper services. So where does Lithuania comes into play in that, and why is it important for us to encourage fintech? So fintech is still a rising sector. In the coming 5 years, the revenues from fintech are going to rise 6 times. The biggest markets are Asia, United States, but also in Europe, we still have a lot of potential, and the growth will be 5.5 times from the current base. So, of course, it has a lot of economical sense to invest in fintech, but it's not only about that. And here I would like to ask another why. So why are the revenues growing? Because the fintech provides the services that are needed for consumers. Fintech can revolutionize the financial sector to enable processes to be cheaper, faster, more effective. They can offer better services to consumers. They can offer new services to consumers. And what is also important, fintech encourages financial inclusion. Thank you. Because we still have part of the society that don't have access to financial services. They are not serviced by traditional financial institutions, and fintech can offer answer to that. So already now, Lithuania stands strong as a fintech hub in Europe. In Lithuania, we have more e-money and payment institutions than any other country in the EU, and it's not weighted by GDP or number of population or the size of the country. So we are the first ones already in the EU. We already serve 25 million consumers across Europe. Just to put that in perspective, in Lithuania we have around 3 million inhabitants, and we serve 25 million customers in Europe from there. If we look at our startup scene, so fintechs, they are not the largest startups in number, but they attracted 1/4 of the investment that all the startup sector attracted in Lithuania. We are already successful in managing risks. So globally, we are among 10 least risky jurisdictions when it comes to money laundering risks, and we are 6th least risky jurisdictions when it comes to cybersecurity. So we know how to manage these risks effectively. Also, when we look at the revenue growth in Lithuania, so our fintech sector is growing around 23% annually, and in the upcoming years, we know that we can do even better than that. And the last number that I want to share with you, and that I'm personally proud, is that in Lithuania, around 30% of founders and the board members of fintech are women, while global average is just 10%. So I encourage all the women here to be very active and enter the fintech scene. So how we already managed to achieve all that, but we don't want to stop there. So what we are going to do, just this summer, we approved a strategy for the upcoming 5 years. And there are 5 main elements in that strategy. So first of it, it's qualitative development of our fintech sector. It means strength, it means grow, and it means export. But also we want to attract new innovative companies into Lithuania, and we are doing it very actively because there is a lot we can offer to them. We also want to be the center of excellence when it comes to talent, when it comes to skill and people, because as it was already said before, there's behind any successful business, we have very talented people. So we want to raise that talent in Lithuania. We want to attract talent from abroad, and we want to make sure that people in Lithuania, we have needed skills for the future digital and green economy. Of course, as I already said, in order to be successful, we have to manage risk effectively. So one of the building blocks of our strategy is the risk management. And of course, it's important to share those things that we are doing. And this visit is part of that sharing. So I'm very glad to be here. So just to summarize, in order for fintech to be successful, we have to have flexible regulation that enables innovation. We have to have talent. We have to have infrastructure. We have to have finance. And we have to have market. And when we have that, when we grow and invest, we have to manage risk effectively every single step of the way. And then we will have a successful fintech ecosystem. And I'm sure that we have all the necessary ingredients and that we have strong ecosystem between the market, between the institutions that ensures that all these actions are implemented and that we are successful. So I invite you to choose Lithuania as your gateway to Europe and grow your fintech with Lithuania. Thanks a lot.